Hey, what's happening, guys? Today we're going to talk about these printers here. On the left is the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. In the middle is the Sovol SV07, and on the right is the Creality Ender 3 V3 SE. Like they got their naming from Ibanez guitars there or something. Anyway, which one of these printers is the best for a beginner in 2023? I know 2023 is almost over, so this will carry over into 2024 as well. What is the best beginner printer right now? So I'm going to get up close here and we'll talk a bit more about these guys. All right, the first printer we're going to look at is the Creality Ender 3 V3 SE. This is a, I don't know, budget level printer, I guess you could say. It comes in at $199. They are brand new out right now, so if you're not finding them locally where you look or on Amazon or whatever, just give it a week or two and they'll be back. So you can tell this is brand new. Firmware version is 1.01 hardware version, and there's the size. So this is a really nice, i3 style machine, like most of them are. What makes this great is, for a total beginner, you really don't need to know much about 3D printers to make it work. It runs on what's known as Marlin firmware. It's super simple. I mean, there's your menu. You have 4 items. I mean, obviously there's sub-menus in there, but you want to print something, you put a card in the card reader, you go to print, there are your files. You can pick one and print it. It's really that easy. When you compare it to a Kilpper screen like this, which is not as intuitive. Now, what is also fantastic about this for a beginner printer is if you look underneath the bed, right? If you can see where I'm pointing. Right there. See that little, there's some wires and stuff going on right there. Right there, that is a load cell. And that load cell works in conjunction with, see that purple light coming out of there? That is the BL touch sensor. They work together to not only map the waviness of your bed so that the firmware can compensate for it, but also to automatically set your Z offset, which is how far the nozzle of the printer has to be above the bed, so that you get a good first layer. That is something for a first timer doing this on their own that is almost impossible to figure out. It's going to take you quite a few tries until you get it, because you just need to feel what it feels like and see what it looks like when it's correct. So Creality's taken all of that out of it for you. I mean, you come over here to prepare and you do auto Z offset, and that pretty much you're good to go. Oh, or you can just come down here and click leveling and it will take care of everything. You click that level button, nothing else is required of you. It does everything from there on. So anyway, let's take a look at the construction of this. It's a injection molded plastic base. Yeah, there's lots of metal in there. The bed is riding on rails and it is belt driven. There are no knobs. That's part of that automatic Z offset. You have these extrusions here which look quite normal from the front, but if you take a look at them from the side, they are more akin to a T than a box. I know it's kind of hard to see. You'll be able to see better when you look at the other printers. This is a new style extrusion. Why? I don't know. My guess is less metal, less money. So you can see the printer uses a single Z motor, but there are 2 lead screws which are connected by a synchronizing belt. And even the X motor is in an odd position. I mean, if you look at some of these other printers here, the X motor, the shaft of the X motor is perpendicular to this rail. Now the shaft of the motor is parallel, so it's gear driving that in there, which is an interesting choice. But what it's done is it's made this printer quite narrow front to back and side to side. You see the other printers have all these things sticking out of them, you know, for adjusting your x-axis belt. This is all very neatly done, and your belt adjusts are right there. And there is a screw in the back that you turn to adjust your belt. Same thing there. Works out really nice. Now, one of the things they've done that really improves this printer is they've increased the speed. This is not your standard Ender 3 printer. This is not your Anycubic printer. This is not your old style Elegoo printer. This is fast. This is almost as fast as a Kilpper printer. This is about as fast as you'd want to go. I'm printing average about 180 millimeters a second, and if we come over here, I should be able to show you that our max accelerations are set for 4,000. So it's going to be quite a speedy machine. Heated bed, of course. Magnetic metallic sheet, but this is polycarbonate, not PEI. I haven't had any troubles with adhesion, and if you look there, you can see some scratches where I've had too good of adhesion. That's another reason why this is such a fantastic beginner 3D printer. Adhesion is the big problem. You got to get that first layer right. If you don't, the whole print screws up, and then, you know, you've wasted time and you've wasted material, and you're not happy. Couple, 3 of them, and you know, you're putting that thing in a closet or throwing it out a window, depending on your temperament. This eliminates that. This will get you printing from day one. And again, at 199 bucks, it's a steal. Creality is probably the most popular, you know, as far as sales go in the consumer 3D printer brand. So you know they're here, they've been around, and they have quite an inventory of parts. So that's the Creality Ender 3 V3 SE. All right, up next, we're looking at the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. And this is a very nice printer as well. Not the same build size, you know, 220 by, what, 250, 270, something in that range. We've got dual part cooling fans there, heatsink fan there, and this nice big fan box on the back that allows this printer to print at well over 250 millimeters a second. Now, this is a Kilpper printer. When you look at it, you know, your interface is a lot more involved. However, other than coming over here and maybe hitting temp and warming this thing up before a print, I honestly don't use it. Everything is controlled through the web interface, which is the beauty of Kilpper. Now, let's talk more about the construction of this machine, because this is one well done machine. So we've got 40 by 20 extrusions for the side frames and rubber wheels, which is not a big deal on the Z-axis because the Z-axis is moving quite slowly. But if you look here, we've got hardened steel rails, hardened wheels on the top and on the bottom. This allows for really quick, smooth movement. Same thing down here on the bed. This thing is quick. You would not believe how fast it is. Now, it also has some really nice features. We have that light, which they call on here the observation light. And it also has a light up here on top of the gantry, which is called the headlight. And they can be controlled from here or through, you know, the web interface as well. These screens are a little hard to pick up, but anyway, this, like I said, this is the Neptune 4 Pro. Build surface 225 by 265. Very, very nice printer. I don't have any complaints with it. And it's fast. Again, like I said, it is quite fast. And that big curtain fan there in the back is really good. Now, you'll see they have opted to not go with the sensorless homing here. I don't know why. It's using what are they, 2208 or 2209 stepper drivers. They're quite capable of sensorless homing. And honestly, if you're a programmer, you could easily go into the your printer config in Kilpper and set up sensorless homing. But they didn't do it here. I don't know why. And yeah, really doesn't matter. We have the filament sensor. Now this has dual Z-axis motors and the synchronizing belt, which makes it really nice. Direct drive, of course. And it has the dual zone heated bed, which is really nice. They did a very nice job on the control pad here. You see it uses an old style RJ11 type cable and a magnetic mount here, so it all stays in place really nicely. But they did drop the ball here. There's no Wi-Fi built in, so I'm hard connected to my router. For me, it's not a problem. My router is quite close. But, you know, if you've got your router somewhere else, that's something to consider. You can put a USB Wi-Fi dongle in there. It's just got to be the right one. You might have to experiment with it a little bit. So this is the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. It is considerably more advanced than this printer. This printer, the Creality Ender 3 V3 SE, took about 10 minutes to bolt everything together and was printing in 15 minutes. After that, you know, with the heat up and all that stuff. This printer takes a little bit more to put together. It probably took about 30 minutes to put together. And it has added stuff, you know, you need to grease these rails and such. But I don't think this printer is as much of a first printer. I think if you've had an Ender 3 or a Cobra or a Neptune 3 or just about anything else, well, then you're ready to move up to something that offers you a lot more control. And the reason I say I can't really recommend this as a first printer, a printer like this is super simple. You plug the card in it, you tell it what to print, it prints it. If things go wrong, chances are it's probably mechanical, and that's going to be easy to hunt down. Now over here, we actually have two separate processors. We have a microprocessor that is controlling the movement of the motors, or microcontroller that is controlling the movement of the stepper motors. And then we have a separate microprocessor like a Raspberry Pi that is handling all of the calculations as to how to move those motors. So it gets a bit more involved, and there are a lot of settings and configurations that go on here. So if you're coming into 3D printing blind, this is a hell of a first step. It's a great printer. They're selling for like $299. I love it. But you want to have a little bit of experience before you get to this printer. All right, so our final machine we are going to look at today is from Sobel, and it is the Sovol SV07. Sobel is probably the newest company here, having only been around for a few years, and the original printers like the SV01 and SV02 were basically Ender 3s. They used Creality parts and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to start a company if you don't have your own manufacturing process yet. So, about the SV07, it is a Kilpper printer, so it puts it in the same box with the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro. Now, look at the size of that extruder and just the whole hot end. I mean, it is massive. And if I move my Z down, you're going to be able to see something here, and this is what I want you to see. Can you even see where the nozzle is? The nozzle is in the center of the screen. But now you're looking at it from a very low angle. If we look at it from a higher angle, it's crazy. There's no way you can see your first layer like this. So that is a complaint, but it's a complaint with everything. That one's huge. That one's huge. That's the smallest of all of them, but it's still pretty big too. They're packing a lot of equipment and a lot of technology in there, so you know, that's why we find these things with the giant heads on them. So if we come over here and let's take a look at the control panel, but let me get the lights off first. Alright, here's our control panel. And you can see it is connected with a 2.1 millimeter barrel jack and a USB type A. Oh, and I just screwed it up somehow by messing with them. Let's go Clipper restart. Uh-oh. Firmware restart. There we go. Yeah, when I bumped that, I must have reset it. So what I was saying is we have a 2.1 millimeter barrel jack. We have a USB here. We have another USB here. I think there's one on top. There's a little switch over here that you can use to actually shut down Clipper. It's not bad the way this thing is built. It's just not great. As opposed to this printer, this one feels to me like they just threw it kind of together. Like the SV06, which is a non-Clipper printer that can easily be Clipperized, has been out on the market for a few years, or a couple years anyway, and it's rock solid. But I think Sobel threw this one together as quickly as they could to compete with the likes of this. So, is that good or not? I don't know. Time will tell. This does have a nice little drawer for all your tools. Those are different. Nice thing about the Sovol is it is a lower cost machine. We're coming in around $300, same price range as this. But if you're asking me, I mean, that's why you're here, which one of these three printers should you get? Well, let's talk about that. If you're watching this video because you're looking for your first ever 3D printer, then this is the one you want. The Creality Ender 3 V3 SE. You can be printing something in just a few minutes without having to do anything to the printer to set it up. Now, if you're somebody with more experience and you're looking for a faster printer that gives you more control, then the Elegoo Neptune 4 Pro is where you want. And make sure you get the Pro. And one of the big differences is the hardened steel reels and hardened steel rollers there. And also down here on the bed. See them? Everything about this thing is just nice and solid, from the dual heated bed, zone heated bed. We have 2 sets of LEDs. It's just fantastic. But don't buy this as your first printer. There's a lot going on there. First printer. Alright guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this little buyer's guide to 3D printers. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to share. And if you're not subscribed, give that a try. Also, check out our Patreon. The link down below should be appearing right about now. And buck a month's all we ask to keep the channel going. Alright, that's it. I'm out. Peace.